The chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament urges the House to tighten its belt by cutting down on expenditure.
Are there ways, Mr. Speaker, are there ways the leadership of Parliament can cut costs as Ghana seeks to bridge the gap between our revenues and expenditures?
So what is the current state of Ghana's economy? Well, ranking on the Finance Committee, Dr. Atuforson has the diagnosis.
So, Speaker, as we speak, the Ghanaian economy is in an intensive care unit.
We'll hear from those on the other side. Coming up in business, government recovers in excess of 1 million cedis out of 750 million Ghana cedis of soft loans disbursed to businesses under the coronavirus alleviation program.
If you remember last year around October, November, a few people, that's when we started the rollout of the payments. So over in excess of 1 million Ghana cedis has been paid, which means that it started, so it would ramp up.
And much later here on Joy News Prime, private legal practitioners sues the National Communications Authority and 3 telcos over the SIM re-registration. We'll bring you details of this here on Joy News Prime. The bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra. We are live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 144. This is the home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I'm NS Minu. Stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. And tonight we'll begin from the KNUST campus, where the National Science and Maths Quiz semi-final contest has just ended. My colleague Emmanuel Cranton is there for us. Emmanuel, bring us the reactions from the campus following that heated contest there between Prempeh OWAS and, of course, KNUST SHS.
Well, so Ernest, the contest just ended. Well, this is what you will call a Kumasi derby. What a lot of the locals here within the Ashanti region have been calling the Kumasi NSMQ El Clasico. And the end of the day, Prempeh College, 4-time winners of the competition, have been able to edge past their arch rivals in Opokuari School, 67 points, the highest set of points that we've seen in the entire day through all the 3 semi-final contests. And for now, it's a fixed contest. Presec Legon, Keta SHTS, and then of course those who just won right about now, Prempeh College. Amanfo.
Seniors.
Amanfo.
Seniors.
Amanfo.
Seniors.
Congratulations.
Oh, wonderful.
This was quite a heated contest.
You see, when you are dealing with Prempeh College, you are dealing with seniors. And when I say seniors, I mean Amanfo. We won Ashanti Region Championship. So the same school we met. You understand that? Oh yes. So we initially, when we started, we thought this is just a rehearsal. Yes. And God being so good, I've always said that our efficiency without God's sufficiency will always lead to our deficiency. And God help us.
And God has helped you. I mean, 67 points. All the other schools that have qualified into the grand finale scored 53 and then 50 points. 67 points. That's way over the roof.
Yeah, sure. We know the God we are serving. Let's hope for the best. We're not talking much. Let's hope for the best. Yeah.
I mean, I can see how you are not even able to control yourself.
Yeah, very, very happy. You're bringing the trophy home. I'm out for PC. Seniors. Seniors. I'm out for seniors. I'm out for.
We are seniors. We are what? Seniors. Oh yes.
We are definitely going for the cup. No 2 ways about that. We are going to win the cup hands down.
Okay.
So we are expecting nothing. The sky is our limit.
Well, let's talk to the boys who just won the contest right about now. The likes of Eden and Evans, who were on stage and did the magic that we just saw on stage. Congratulations, Eden.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you told me, I remember the very first day of your arrival on KNUST campus, you told me you're taking one contest at a time, and 3 of them down. You are going into the grand finale. It must be a lot on your your shoulders. Of course, going to represent the entire Ashanti region.
Yes, please. You have actually one more hurdle to go. But I don't feel like there's a lot on my shoulders.
Okay.
Because just as I said at the beginning of the contest, just like servants look to the hand of their master, we are looking to Jehovah for a victory. So I feel that Jehovah will do everything for us. With our little hard work, Jehovah will complement us with his own common favor.
But the contest was heated. I mean, from the very first round to the second, third, even the fourth round. I mean, it took the riddle for us to see the clear winner. When were you on stage? Did you at some point get nervous a bit?
A bit. I got nervous a bit, but it was okay. I felt normal after one. But with God's grace, we won. So I think we've done well.
Okay, Eden, I was asking if you got nervous at any point in time on stage.
Oh no, I was cool.
Warriors didn't scare you at all. I mean, they were just tailing you.
Oh yeah, I used to this. It's part of the game. It's part of the competition. So somehow the National Science and Maths Quiz is even training us for bigger platforms opportunity in the future, because you are no longer scared of the crowd or the public anymore.
Okay, let me hear from you. You're going into the grand finale. What should we expect from you?
Okay, as we said from the start of the competition, with God on our side, we will win the trophy.
Okay, and we are just learning that the head of science at Prempeh College also doubles as the daddy of Evans, one of the contestants of Prempeh College. But you must feel really proud.
Actually, I'm greatly honored. The Almighty God has done me a tremendous honor. Today is historic. It's a victory for all the teachers in Prempeh College, because over the past years, teachers in Prempeh College have been teaching students of other parents. So it's today, the Almighty God is crowning our effort. It's a victory to all the teachers and all the teachers in Prempeh College and all the teachers in Ghana.
I'm out for.
Yes.
I'm out for. I'm out for.
Yes, please.
You are the seniors, and in fact, we wish you all the best. Congratulations. We are going to see you in the grand finale on Friday. And what's the watchword? What's the watchword? Let me take that from you. What's the watchword? What's the watchword?
We need to be extra careful and make sure that we go and become focused. When we get focused and we gather the patients, I'm very sure the ultimate will be ours.
Definitely, and we're wishing you all the best. And so, like I said, fixed contest, Presec Legon, Keta SHTS, and then Prempeh College. I mean, it waits to be seen what will unfold before our very eyes on Friday when we crown it all up at a great hall here at the KNUST. For now, a lot of excitement for the boys in the green camp, Prempeh College. Ernest, if you can hear me, we're going to be picking a lot of other reactions, but for now, I'll just hand over back to you in the studio, Ernest.
No, thank you very much for bringing us those reactions. And of course, you are there doing all the good job, and you know where to catch the action come Friday right here on Joy News, on Joy Prime, on radio, Joy 99.7 FM, and online, all our social media platforms. It is the grand finale of the National Science and Maths Quiz. You just want to stay with us. But right now, let me take you to Parliament. The chairman of the Finance Committee, Kweku Kwarteng, is urging the House to cut down on expenditure. According to Kweku Kwarteng, the procurement of glossy calendars and diaries for MPs, coupled with sole sourcing of contracts, imposes a huge financial constraint on the country's expenditure. He also wants Parliament to cut down on the number of MPs. Making a case for the approval of the 2022 budget, Kweku Kwarteng cautioned the NDC against moves to oppose the economic policy.
Again, a commitment by government to cut back on the exemptions we give in this economy. And as I speak, Mr. Speaker, we are aware that the exemptions bill 2021 has been laid in this House. Mr. Speaker, these are the interventions government is asking us for approval for. But, Mr. Speaker, I proceed by saying, as Parliament, not only should we be approving and supporting government in these initiatives. Mr. Speaker, we as Parliament must also lead by example. Are there ways, Mr. Speaker, are there ways the leadership of Parliament can cut costs as Ghana seeks to bridge the gap between our revenues and expenditures? Mr. Speaker, are there ways that this House we can lead by the example? The Speaker reminds us all the time that we are the representatives of the people. Mr. Speaker, Parliament should not just oversight the executive, we must lead by example. Mr. Speaker, sole sourcing in parliamentary procurements. Are we going to deal with sole sourcing procurement by this House? Is this something as a House we would like to not just oversight the executive? Is this something that we should do? Mr. Speaker, should we continue, for example, to procure these glossy calendars and glossy diaries year on year for Parliament, for which we have very little utilization? Mr. Speaker, it is not enough for members of Parliament to be out there calling out the executive and asking the executive to demonstrate commitment to fiscal prudence. We ourselves must set the example. Mr. Speaker, I must go on. I can go on and on and on. But I pause here. Mr. Speaker, we can even add, Mr. Speaker, that it is time to cap the number of members of Parliament for the Republic of Ghana. It is time to cap this House. We cannot continue administration after administration, be creating districts, be creating constituencies, be creating more members of Parliament, and to be increasing the budget. I am inviting my colleagues on the other side that we have come to a point where we need to call the spade a spade.
The ranking on the Finance Committee, Dr. Atiforson, also observed that the revenue targets set for the year 2022 are unrealistic, arguing it is overestimated by about 10 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to about 2% of our GDP. He also coined a new phrase for the state of the economy. Listen.
It is important for us to accept that it is indeed an undeniable fact that the Ghanaian economy, all is not well for us. So, Speaker, as we speak, the Ghanaian economy is in an intensive care unit. Mr. Speaker, permit me to diagnose the sickness of the Ghanaian economy. Mr. Speaker, to surprise you to know that the Ghanaian economy today is sick from what we call stagflation, with acute debt overhang syndrome. In other words, you can call it sardosis. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, the Ghanaian economy as we speak is sick from stagflation with acute debt overhang syndrome. In other words, sardosis. Mr. Speaker, why am I saying so? Mr. Speaker, I say so for a simple reason. Stagflation is a situation in an economy where there is slow and jobless real sector growth that is accompanied with high unemployment and rising inflation. Mr. Speaker, we all know that as we speak, there is rising unemployment in this economy. In fact, unemployment has become a national security threat. Again, as generous as I am, I'm a Father Christmas. I'm going to assume that you are going to have growth of about 7%. So, Speaker, all this put together will give you 12.5 billion. So, Speaker, let's assume that they've announced compliance measures. We all know that compliance is not costed in any budget. But let me cost it for them and give them about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, I'm sorry to say that the estimations in the budget statement What is before us, our tax revenue has been over-projected by 10 billion Ghana cedis, representing 2% of our GDP. 2% of our GDP. Hey. Where is your credibility, Honorable Minister? Honorable members, where is the credibility of this government? Where is the credibility of this government? This budget is the most inconsistent, wrongly estimated budget I've ever seen since I became Ghanaian. In fact, since Kwame Nkrumah went to Guinea. Mr. Speaker, I am sad. I'm sad for a simple reason that this government is actually increasing the sickness of this country. Currently, our sickness, we are sick from sardosis. Today, as a result of your wrong projection, if care is not taken, Ghana is going to be sick with sardosis too. And that will mean that we are going to move from intensive care unit to high intensive care unit in the emergency room. The situation is appalling and it should not be accepted.
On his part, MP for Ofuasa Yerbi Kojo Nkrumah outlined 5 reasons why his colleagues should approve the budget. This includes the promise to address the unemployment situation in the country.
This economic policy forecast a huge expansion in the investment in infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the appendices, in the year, and my colleagues are asking me where, I will draw their attention. In the year 2021, capital expenditure was 12 billion Ghana cedis. 12 billion. And even after forecasting and spending about 12 billion, every day we see demonstrations in all our constituencies asking for more routes. Every day we see calls on government to spend more for infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, the government has responded by making available in the 2022 budget 16 billion Ghana cedis for infrastructure. This is another reason for which all of us must support this economic policy. You cannot be a member of parliament who tells your constituents that I am going to Accra to fight for infrastructure for you. And when you come to parliament and the government says, I am moving from 12 billion to 16 billion on infrastructure, you say, no, I won't vote for this. How can you do this? And so, Mr. Speaker, the second reason for which we should support this is because this budget, unlike any budget in our history in this republic, forecasts the most amount of money to fund infrastructure in this country. And I believe that is why all of us, majority, minority, must support this economic policy which is before us today, Mr. Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker. The third reason for which we should support this economic policy is because it lays out a clear path for boosting local industry. Right from the days of O-level economics, one of the arguments has been to develop the economy, we must do import substitution. Mr. Speaker, we live in an economy where a good number of the things that are consumed are imported. In the last 3 to 4 years, we have made a lot of investment in supporting local industry. The administration has put before this House a policy that says that we will keep the benchmark values that have been discounted. We will keep it. However, for some 40 products which we produce here in Ghana, it will not be in our interest to continue discounting duties on them. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask my colleagues in this chamber some simple questions, and maybe we can help ourselves answer and use that to take a decision. Does it serve us well that we continue to discount the duties on poultry products? No. And that is why the policy is before this House that we should reverse the discounting of duties on poultry products.
Away from Parliament, Deputy Energy Minister Andre Japah-Mensah says the NDC's resolve to oppose the electronic transfer levy is born out of a desire to frustrate government's developmental agenda. Now, the Sekondi MP argued that the approval of the levy would enable government to execute various infrastructure projects as well as create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth, a situation he believes will derail the NDC's effort in recapturing power in 2021. Andre Japah-Mensah called on the minority to support the approval of the budget to aid government realize its vision. He spoke to my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
They are indicating lack of support for these key revenue measures that obviously would go a long way into helping our country and its finances. Obviously, because it's good and potentially would impact their political fortunes when this is passed.
Impact their political fortunes?
Absolutely.
In what sense?
Of course, we all realize that because of COVID, we've had to incur huge sums of money that needs to be paid for. Government has two options, either to raise the revenue domestically or to borrow. We all are complaining about the debt profile. So if government finds an alternative in one, raising the revenue through a broadening of the tax net such that many more people who are in the informal sector but who use services such as the mobile money are brought into the tax net. That then eases the pressure on government to go and acquire additional debt. That then gives government some more revenue room to enable it to fund the critical expenditures that are in the budget. Obviously, when those critical infrastructure expenditure items are funded, to them, that would impact on their political fortunes because the good people of this country will see the government to be delivering and the call for an extension of our mandate for another 10 and subsequent 10s.
This is Joy News Prime with me, Anas Mini. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. A fetish priest has been arrested by the Fomena police on suspicion of gunning down a 20-year-old taxi driver at Intraco, close to Fomena in the Adanse North district of the Ashanti region. The priest, Collins Asamoah, 25, according to police, was on his way to confront another man for killing his mother's sheep, but ended up killing the deceased with a double-barreled gun he was holding. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko has more.
That is the wife of 28-year-old Kojuentri. After news of her husband's death reached her, he left behind a child. Police say the suspect, a fetish priest, was on his way to confront somebody who had killed his mother's sheep with a double-barreled gun. At the main Adanse Intraku town center, he accidentally discharged the gun, killing the taxi driver. An eyewitness and a colleague taxi driver, Nana Adum Kofi, described moments leading to the incident.
Ana wode abuba ehye ni tune. Entina oka etuna bomse yama.
He loaded the gun and was trying to cock it. So he applied some force and the gun went off, hitting the deceased. I was there with him. The moment I got up, the gun went off. Some enraged residents set the suspect's three-bedroom house ablaze, according to police. Fomena District Police Commander, Chief Superintendent Ohinitechi, tells Love News the fetish priest, Collins Asamoah, who joined eyewitnesses in conveying the victim to a nearby hospital, has been arrested and is assisting police in investigations. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Adanse Intraku, Ashanti region.
Still in the Ashanti region, following the overflow of a water body that produced a massive gully in the middle of the connection road, their town was cut off for months. Residents of Adanwamwase in Ashanti's Kwabre East District, particularly final year JHS students, were transported across a stream in the bucket of a bulldozer in the viral video. Love FM's Erastus Saridonko engaged leaders in the Kente Weaving town on attempts to find a temporary solution to the problem, and now reports.
This spot is where you see in a video that has gone viral, where you see a bulldozer ferrying people in its bucket from one point to the other. The town here is called Adanwamase, and just ahead of me is Bonyure, the Kente Weaving town, and the rest of Ejuso and its environs. The stream you see here is called Momoshe, and this is the point dividing the two towns and the rest of Ashanti region. Now, the problem is that there is no bridge over the stream Momoshe at the moment. And so when it rains, the stream overflows its banks, and gradually it created a huge gully here where you saw the bulldozer ferrying people across. And so the entire town of Adangomase was cut off just about 3 days ago. The people came together because help was not coming from the local assembly and the central government. They decided to solve their own problem temporarily. They were levied from 500 Ghana cedis down to 50 Ghana cedis. And now they've been able to solve it temporarily, fill up the area, and they were able to put in a small pipe to soak the water from one end to the other end. Let me take you through what has been done to serve as a bridge. This small running pipe is now serving as a bridge, transporting the people from one side of Adangomase towards town. Now, this is the temporary solution, one that the community itself have contributed funds to build.
Our car always gets stuck here. So the chief of the community suggested that we contributed to fix it. Even the round pipe we used is too small. We asked for the biggest one, and they said it's 25,000, so we couldn't afford it.
The leveling of the gully and insertion of a small running pipe to serve as a bridge cost residents 15,200 cedis. Eric Boachi Yadom is the assembly member for the Adangomase electoral area.
We didn't really bill people, but the chief and the people of the community helped. The cash at hand was 7,000, but we spent 15,200 after completion.
So about 7,000. 15,200.
Adangomase, close to Bonyure, relies on local tourism and the sale of hand-woven kente for revenue. The bad roads leading in and out of here is a disincentive.
If the bridge is not fixed, we will still get back to zero. I plead with the government to come to our aid.
DC for Kwabri East, Osei Esibebunsu, says contract has been awarded for the construction of the road, but could not tell when work will begin.
It calls for a bigger solution from central government. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Adangomase, Ashanti region.
The National Secretariat of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, Ghana CLOGSAG, is demanding that President Akufo-Addo terminates the appointment of the Western North Regional Minister over what it describes as political intrusion in the civil service space. The group alleges that the Western North Minister, Richard Eba Obeng, contrary to laid down principles, posted 2 assistant directors of the local government service out of the region. They are therefore demanding that his appointment be terminated and also a reversal of the posting. Here's Executive Secretary of the Association, Isaac Bampoado.
The National Secretariat of CLOGSAG is alleging the Minister for Western North, Richard Obeng, abused his position by posting civil servants. Executive Secretary for the Association, Isaac Bampoado, spoke on behalf of the association.
The Civil and Local Government Service Staff Association, Ghana, CLOGSAG, is totally appalled by the stance of Mr. Richard Eba Obeng, the Regional Minister for Western North region for meddling in the day-to-day activities of the Office of the Head of Local Government Service. Mr. Richard Eba Obin has erroneously arrogated to himself the power to post officers of the local government service. He has also directed his personal assistant to lock up the office of one of the two officers who had been posted by the regional minister. This is a clear indication of political harassment which should not be exhibited in our current democratic dispensation. Evidence available shows that the regional minister has posted two assistant directors of the local government service in contravention of existing procedures for postings.
The group is therefore calling on the President Akufo-Addo to, as a matter of urgency, terminate the appointment of the minister and reinstate the workers. The group further warned failure to do so by Friday, November 26, will trigger an emergency National Executive Council meeting to pave way for further action.
CLOSAC is calling on the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to immediately terminate the appointment of Mr. Richard Eba Obin, the Western North Regional Minister, for interfering in the work of the local government service. Significantly, some staff of the local government service have had their appointments terminated for contravening the Supreme Court ruling on neutrality and involving themselves in partisan activities. CLOSAC wish to serve notice that if by Friday, 26 November 2021, these postings have not been reversed, the association will be compelled to convene an emergency National Executive Council meeting to pave the way for further action.
Michael Papani-Ashali's report for Joy News.
This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Bin, and let me say that we made efforts to reach out to the Western North Regional Minister, but that was not successful. When we get him, we'll bring his side of the story to you. We're taking a break. When we return, we have business and sports. Stay with us.
And you're welcome to Business. I'm Charles Ayachim. Government under the Ghana Enterprise Agency has so far recovered more than 1 million cedis of soft loans and disbursed to businesses which receive support as part of the Coronavirus Alleviation Program Business Support Scheme, also known as the CAP-BUS. Now, the CAP-BUS, a special fund with seed capital of about 750 million cedis, was set up by government to cushion micro, small and medium enterprises from the impact of COVID. Now, speaking to Joy Business at the KPMG Post-Budget Forum, Executive Director of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, Koshiyanke Aye, says she is confident of high repayment of this loan.
Importance and the relevance of that to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Ghana and the youth of Ghana so that they can also find ways of getting meaningful and dignified jobs. So one of the things we talked about was what we've been able to do in the past and now. In the past, we had worked on the CAP Business Support Scheme, where government, under the President's direction, led the intervention of providing relief support for businesses that were suffering during the COVID. If you remember, we went through a process working with various financial institutions and working with various associations, and it's quite interesting to note that a year and a few months after, people have started making payments for the loan components that they took across the nation.
Roughly about how much has been accrued so far?
Since today, I wasn't here to really talk about the loan. I didn't bring the exact figure as of today, but I know that because of the times that the payments were made, so if you remember last year around October, November, a few people, that's when we started the rollout of the payments. So over in excess of 1 million Ghana cedis has been paid, which means that it started, so it would ramp up.
Meanwhile, calls for review in the electronic transactions levy government seeks to introduce was a major highlight of the KPMG Post-Budget Forum. The head of tax at KPMG, Kofi Frimpong, expresses worry about government intent to tax remittances whilst foreign investors get exemptions.
We have GIPC who continuously year in, year out do a number of ratios to drive FDIs. And I sit down here and I ask myself, what FDIs are more prominent than the remittances that our people out there give to Ghanaians who back home. Significantly, if I recollect somewhere last year, we were mentioning 3 billion and other things. And these are remittances that individuals resident outside the country are bringing into the country for their family members, for their children, or for their relatives. And some of these amounts go into businesses. Some use that capital and other things to operate. Yet, if you look at this transaction levy, they are part of it. My question is, why would people bring in money for their relatives to start businesses get levied? Yet when people come in as foreign direct investors, they get exemptions, they get reliefs through GIPC and other things. What difference? We need to also look at those areas. And for me, I guess it's something that is topical that we need to discuss. The levy is a fantastic idea, as I said, but we need to look at it. Already, certain aspect has been taken out. I believe that some of these things can also be reconsidered and maybe retake them out to ensure that people are also getting value for the amounts that are being sent to them.
Still stay with the budget because the Finance Minister, Keno Foyete, has justified the proposed revenue outlined in the 2022 budget, insisting that these policy proposals are needed to help stabilize the economy and deal with high infrastructure deficit. He said this when he addressed businesses at the PricewaterhouseCoopers post-budget review engagement, of which George Riafi has more in this report.
The Finance Minister's assurance is coming on the back of push for the tax to be scrapped, as well as threat of voting against the levy from the minority in Parliament. But Mr. Keno Foyete noted that the only way out now is to review the way the tax could be applied, like the e-levy.
The challenge, as I see it really, is that we are at a crossroads of the development of our country. And we need to truly internalize, where we are in our history and understand the intractable problems that we need to tackle, and the post-COVID giving us an opportunity to reassess who we are, our sort of common humanity, and address the 3 fundamental issues of youth unemployment, the issues of our infrastructure, and the issues of our debt, which in a sense also impacts our ability to go to international capital markets.
Speaking to Joy Business after the engagement, country partners PricewaterhouseCoopers Vish Ashagba described the 2022 budget as very aggressive in terms of government measures outlined to hit the fiscal targets.
We believe that the budget is ambitious, and we also believe it has to be, because as you will know, George, the economic indicators currently are in a difficult place. And for us to get out of those difficulties and to put the economy on a stronger footing, we need to be ambitious. So the revenue targets are ambitious. We think they have to be, and we think it's a good thing that they are. The expenditure estimates are reasonable, at least in relation to previous budgets or previous actual expenses. Yes, there's always work one could do on expenditure, but then there are social interventions focusing on job creation, focusing on entrepreneurship, and bringing in private sector in different forms to support the implementation.
Local tax partner PricewaterhouseCoopers Ashabe Dwebe noted that most businesses still want some clarity on the e-levy proposed in the 2022 budget.
As businesses, we've seen so many instances where proposals are put forward or actually passed through as law, but the implementation is just done so poorly that it actually costs more money, more inconvenience, and results in lots of audits and a lot of administrative hassle for the businesses. So they are concerned because they just want to know and be assured that this time it will be different. And so that is why we as PwC are very eager that certain key positions in the budget, particularly the e-levy and the implementation of the modified tax system and the VAT flat rate scheme, are implemented very clearly and transparently, and that it's very easy to understand for the taxpayer. because a good tax system has to be easy to understand, to make it easy to comply. Otherwise, people won't comply. And so that's really where the pulse is. People are concerned and just want to see effective implementation this time to avoid previous administrative hassles.
The chief executive of the Ghana Association of Bankers, John Ewua, during the program argued that the time has come for local businesses and entrepreneurs to be supported, not just by government, but the larger population as well. The program brought together players in the banking industry and the academia to deliberate on policy measures outlined in the 2022 budget.
Now, the Chartered Institute of Bankers has alluded that ethical practices in the banking sector have improved considerably since the launch of the Ghana Banking Code of Ethics. Recently, according to its president, Right Reverend Patricia Sapo, professionals more than ever before have adhered to set standards in the industry following cleanup of the sector, which led to the prosecution of some complicit bankers. She spoke at the 12th induction and graduation ceremony organized by the Institute.
The banks are doing very well. You know, if you look at over the period, I mean, majority of bank employees have been very honest. They've demonstrated a lot of integrity, and that is why there's so much confidence in the banking sector. So I think that to a very large extent, you know, the banking sector has done extremely very well. As you know, last year, the Chartered Institute of Bankers and the Central Bank, the Bank of Ghana, and also the Ghana Association of Banks, we came together and we launched the Ghana Banking Code of Ethics. This Ghana Banking Code of Ethics is a standard of practice for all bankers or anybody that works in the banking sector is expected, you know, to comply to the standards and the tenets of the ethics of the profession. And so I think this is one big thing.
Meanwhile, a staff of Societe Generale Bank, who emerged overall best chartered banker, Emanuela Otulate, admonished women in the profession to aspire higher.
I think that now women are doing a lot. If you come to SG, a lot of women are managers and are top positions, and I think that we can continue this narrative, and then women are doing great things, and then I hope it will continue to be so. Even among all the challenges that we face with childbearing and taking care of our homes, we are still trying to make it, and there is no barriers to what women can do. As we said in our oath, we've all made the oath here to eschew corruption and unethical practices. It's not easy out there, but with the God factor and with constant training, on-the-job training and school academic training, I think that we are on the right path.
Away from that, the United Nations Global Network Ghana, after weathering the year 2020, is now in a better position to become a premier network in the UN Global Compact Initiative in Africa. According to the program's coordinator of the Global Compact, Tulu Kweku Laxroix, they seek to sensitize businesses on the importance of sustainability in Ghana and also take full advantage of the Continental Free Trade Agreement area. And that's how we end this part of business. We shall end with a summary of international business news. To stay with us.
More stories before we go. Private legal practitioner Francis Kwarteng Arthur has dragged the National Communications Authority, NCA, the Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited operators of Vodafone Ghana and Sancom PLC operators of MTN Ghana, Airtel Ghana Limited and the Attorney General to an Accra High Court. He alleges that the NCA, by requiring the telcos to procure, store or use his personal information, including his fingerprint, palm print, iris or facial pattern record or other biometric data or particulars, has infringed on his rights. Administrative justice, property, speech, information and privacy will also be violated. He is therefore asking the High Court to make an order to set aside the directive, instruction or requirement imposed on the mobile network operators by the NCA to procure such personal information. He also wants the NCA and the telcos to be restrained from authorizing, directing, instructing or requiring the collection, storage and use of his personal data. And joining me via Zoom is my colleague Kweku Asante with details of that writ filed there. Kweku, what more has he been saying in that writ in terms of the reliefs seeking from the court?
All right, Ernest. So this application is in two legs. First is praying the court to grant an interlocutory injunction. We know that the National Communication Authority, together with the networks, are planning to end this whole exercise March 2022. So his prayer is that the National Communication is insisting that if all users of SIM cards do not re-register their SIM, then they will lose their SIM cards forever. And so he is saying that pending this determination of this suit, which may travel longer than March next year, the High Court should grant an interlocutory injunction until this suit is determined before the exercise can continue. And he's been praying through his lawyer, Justice Shremsai, that the action of the National Communications Authority together with the telcos is one that breaches his fundamental human rights. He speaks about his human rights. He talks about the idea that these telcos can't store his biometric details as well as other personal information without his consent. And so he's insisting in this suit that the court should grant an interlocutory injunction until this case is dealt with. And so that is the first leg that I've just revealed to you. But these are the key issues he is seeking from the court, the remedies and the reliefs he's seeking. He wants the court to adjudge that by directing, instructing, or requiring mobile networks, including the respondents, to procure, store, or use my personal information, including my fingerprint, palm print, iris, or facial pattern or record, is likely to violate my fundamental human rights to administrative justice, to property, to speech, to information, and to privacy. He continues that he wants an order of certiorari directed to the first respondent, that's the National Communication Authority, to bring up to this honorable court for the purposes of being quashed and the quashing of his directive, instruction or requirement to mobile network operators to procure, store, or use my personal information. He wants also an order of cost and an order of perpetual injunction restraining the respondents from continuing with this exercise. So essentially, this private legal practitioner is in court trying to argue that the National Communications Authority, the Attorney General, and the telecommunication networks and their insistence on Ghanaians re-registering their SIM cards is something that breaches their fundamental human rights to owning property, to speech, and also it's something that does not augur well for the laws of the Republic, and he wants the court to strike that out.
For bringing us those details, and this has just been filed. We'll see how it pans out. To the Volta region now, and the regional police command is on the hunt for a man who allegedly murdered his girlfriend and kept her corpse in a refrigerator at his residence in Ho Fiabe. Neighbors of the suspect, only identified as Frank, forced open his door after smelling a strong stench wafting from the room in the early hours of Monday, November 22, 2021. An investigative team dispatched to the crime scene observed that the corpse, which was placed in a double-decker fridge, was at an advanced stage of decomposition. It has emerged that the man who allegedly killed his girlfriend demanded the spare key to his room, which was then in the possession of his landlady. And I will bring you some details of some of the incidents of domestic violence that we have seen in recent times. And so we had a case of boyfriend killing girlfriends. January 2021, a young lady identified as Juliet was allegedly murdered by her boyfriend for breaking up with him after he bought her a brand new phone. Now, this happened at Doimo in the Greater Accra region. Also in March, a 25-year-old woman, Harriet Kafui Ahiati, was allegedly killed by her boyfriend at Ho in the Volta region. Reports suggest that there was a brawl between the two after the boyfriend had accused her of cheating. And again, this is Ho. In August, in Damango, the police there declared one Louis Asante wanted for allegedly killing his girlfriend, Sandra Siedu, a constable. According to reports, the jealous boyfriend had fought with one soldier he suspected to be having an affair with his girlfriend, Sandra Siedu. In November, that's early this man has allegedly killed his girlfriend and kept the body in a double-decker refrigerator. This is the story that we are following up for you right now, and there have been two of such incidents in Ho, like I indicated earlier in March this year. And some households in the Obuasi municipality of the Ashanti region are converting their toilet facilities into bedrooms for rent. This has gotten the Municipal Assembly to activate a bylaw which stipulates a fine of 1,200 Ghana cedis or 6-month jail term for people caught engaging in this illegal act. This morning, the following report.
Obuasi Municipal Chief Executive Elijah Adanse Bona is worried the action of the people is not helping in fighting the sanitation problem. About 14,000 people in the Obuasi municipality are caught engaging in open defecation. In commemoration of World Toilet Day, the municipality organized a Durbar to create awareness and also to address the sanitation crisis in the Obuasi municipality. Speaking at the event, Mr. Adanse Bona expressed optimism the Obuasi area will be free from open defecation.
We decided to come to the central market, interact with our people, educate them. Those who don't have toilets in their houses would do it after maybe this event. So it is significant. We want Obuasi to be one of the open defecation-free municipalities in Ghana. When my coordinating director was talking, he mentioned that we've begun construction of concrete drains. Now people have started squatting on the drains, easing into the drains, and that is very bad. Those who don't have toilets in their houses, that is where the challenge is. That is why we need to sit down with them, with the engineers, if they can create something within the house for them. They think there's no space, but for space, if you want it, you can create it.
The theme for this year's celebration is Stop Open Defecation, Own a Household Latrine Now. Let's play our part in this COVID-19 era. The Municipal Environmental Officer, Mrs. Moro Fusena, said the percentage of people owning a latrine in the municipality will increase next year.
From January going, we will be going around. When we come and you convert your bath or toilet into a sleeping room, we will take you to court. Every house is supposed to have a toilet. Now, we are not even saying like a compound house with 10 rooms shouldn't have one toilet. I can assure you that next year, if we are alive, and before we come back for World Toilet Day, you will see the numbers increasing, because that next year, that will be my target. If I don't send at all, I will send over 3,000 people to court because they have no toilet in their houses.
So far, about 25 people who do not have toilets in their houses have been dragged to court. Bilkis Mohammed's report read to you.
And that's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You'll find more stories there. I'm Ernest.